Oh man, it's finally happening. This is the first video for this channel. So I've been waiting a long time to do this, probably 15, 20 years. So if you've found this video, thank you for tuning in. It's good to see you. It's a pleasure to have you here. Welcome. I thought to kick things off with this channel, I'm going to show you 5 zones of authoritative charisma. And the reason, and you can see these on this little fancy little high quality sketch that I've made here for you. The reason I'm doing this is because I see a number of YouTubers talk about charisma in general, and they talk about a few of these zones and areas, but I don't see often people addressing the broader picture of what charisma really is, because it's very much an holistic skill set. It takes a multifaceted approach, and you're probably wondering, well, why would you know? How would you know that, dude? You're just one in a million YouTubers out there. Well, I'm an actor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a black belt in karate, and I thought, look, I'd just get on YouTube and share my skills with the world, and hopefully someone somewhere takes something from it to improve their lives. So by the end of this video, you're going to know which of these zones is your strength, which is your weakness, and what you need to do to improve on each of them. And as I was thinking about this whole video idea, what to get started with, it reminded me of a point in my life later in my acting career. This is a few years ago now, before I became a lawyer, and it was one of my last auditions, and I knew it was my last audition. I just knew inside. It was somewhere in Bondi Beach. I got out of my car and it was absolutely pouring. As soon as I got out and opened the door, it started pouring down with rain. So that's the first thing I knew. And then I walked up to the door to the casting office. I walked in and there were two girls sitting there, and they just had their eyes glued to their computers. They were the staff there, and no one noticed me when I walked in. And I just said, look, hi, I'm Ryan here for so-and-so time for this role. And they said, yeah, that's fine, just take a seat. By this point in my acting career, I'd grown a bit tired of the acting industry. Well, not only was it financially unsustainable for me, but I guess I just wanted something a little more intellectually stimulating. So I was sitting down and they called my name. I got up and I walked into the filming room, and the head lady there, she said, oh, so you're going for the lead role? And I said, oh, hang on a second, I don't think I am. I think I'm going for the supporting. I said, no, I'm supporting. And she said, oh, okay. And it's like she was surprised. So it must have been something to do with my energy at that time as to why she presumed I was going for a leading role when really I was just supporting. And anyway, so I walked in, I stood on my position, on my mark, and I gave the scene. And by the end of the scene, and I was just like, look, I want to get this audition done. I want to get it done with, and I just want to move on with other things. And by the end of that scene, she stopped the take, and the 2 girls looked at each other, and they're like, and she was like, oh, that was, okay, can we, she was surprised, like, wow, can we do it this way? Or how about, did you have any other ways you wanted to, it's like, obviously, that was a surprise for her. I'm not sure why, maybe, I don't know how her day was going or how the other actors were doing their performances. But anyway, long story short, I went on to book the callback, and that's just my example of these 5 zones of authoritative charisma, because each one came into effect on that day when I was doing that audition. I give that example to start off with because maybe it's something that you can relate with. Maybe in your personal or professional life, you're sitting around with a group of friends, or you're at work in a meeting, and perhaps there is one individual who's not as smart as you, who's not as sharp as you are, and they say something and they get a round of applause. The boss looks at them like they are a demigod, and you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, I could have said something 10 times smarter than what they just said. Everyone's applauding them. And you might get frustrated by that. Or secondly, you might have said something in the meeting or with your friends, and it was one of your best ideas. And you share it with them, and it's like silence. No one cares. Everyone moves on to the next thing. And it's like you get shot down. Perhaps that happened. Or perhaps long after the event's gone, you have a feeling inside you of regret, or a feeling of something that you should have said, or something that you could have said to change the trajectory of that conversation or that meeting. Regardless, one thing's for sure, you're here on this video because you want presence. You want authority. So I'm going to show you these 5 zones and go through them one by one. And let's go straight into the first one. So the first one here is this fancy little man standing with what looks like ripples underneath him. So this is magnetic presence. This is akin to a bit of a Marilyn Monroe effect. It's that, well, it's said that whenever she entered a room, everyone in that room just stopped what they were doing and just felt the need to turn themselves towards where she was. They don't know why. It was just this energy she gave out. This is not as fancy as people think it is. It's not witchcraft, it's not esoteric knowledge or anything. It's simply, it's not charm, it's just calm. It's essentially your ability to walk into a room and for the people in that room to feel safer because you're in it. I feel that this is rare today because, well, everyone's online, right? And so when someone enters a room with stillness, true just stillness, then the people in that room just gravitate towards them. Maybe because that stillness reminds them of something. How do you know if you lead with magnetic presence? Well, there's a few questions you can ask yourself. Imagine you are sitting with a colleague or someone else that preferably isn't a friend, and you're sitting with them and there's silence, right? Now, does that person feel the need, usually in your situation, to fill that silence or to follow it? In other words, do they feel so uncomfortable as to maybe interject with random comments here and there, or do they just let that silence sit? Something else that may ring true is that you don't interrupt others, but when you do speak up, then those around you stop talking. Or thirdly, perhaps you've been told that you, for some reason, you don't know why, but people call you intense or mysterious. Intense, I used to get intense a lot, so that's one that rings true to me personally. But maybe you get called intense or mysterious and you have no idea why, because to you just think you're existing. Now, if those 3 things ring true to you, then you lead with magnetic presence. And if they don't ring true to you, then you can go to this video up here on more information to improve that zone for yourself. Secondly, velvet hammer voice, what I call the velvet hammer voice. This is this weird V here. People today, most people talk to be heard. Someone with a velvet hammer voice speaks to be felt. There's a difference. Heard, felt. You want felt. If you have a velvet hammer voice, your voice becomes a scalpel. It's soft enough to lower people's defenses, yet it is precise enough to hit the bone when you need to. How do you know if you have a velvet hammer voice? Well, perhaps you can ask yourself, do people often quote you later after an event has long gone? Even if you only said 1 or 2 words, do you find that people quote you? Or maybe you've been told your voice is soothing or calming, hypnotic even, or strangely persuasive in some way. Thirdly, well, you could ask yourself, in arguments with other people, you don't go louder, you go quieter, and people listen harder to what you're saying. If those 3 things sound pretty accurate to you, then your leading zone is a velvet hammer voice. And if it doesn't, then you can go to this video here to find a whole array of tips to improve that skill for yourself. And real quick, if you're finding this is interesting to you, please just tap that like button down below. This really helps this young channel get up and running, up off the ground. I'd appreciate that. Thirdly, command signals. So this is these shapes here that I've made out, the best way to visually describe command signals. I've got great news for anyone who is under 6'5". You don't have to be tall to have presence, but you do need posture. You need a straight spine. You need purposeful pauses when you're speaking, and you need deliberate movements, not fidgeting, random sporadic movements all the time. That grows tiring for people to watch and they zone out. because command is not what you say to people. Yes, that helps. True command doesn't need to be said. It's what you signal to other people. How do you know if you lead with command signals? Well, try this. Imagine you're looking in the mirror right now, looking at yourself, and just ask yourself, would you follow someone who stands like you? Would you follow someone who stands like you? Be honest. You don't fidget, you don't, none of this, you don't do any of this. You occupy your space and you make deliberate movements. And sometimes you might even notice that when you're in a group of friends or with colleagues, you may often notice that people around you instinctively adjust themselves based on your posture or your pace. If those three things sound familiar to you, well, your leading zone is command signals. And if they don't sound familiar to you whatsoever, then you can go to this video up here for more information. Fourthly, and this is a personal favorite, conviction storytelling. This is this weird squiggly line here, very professionally drawn. So I think, how can I put this? Gen Z today, I think it's pretty obvious at this point that they don't care about, maybe you're Gen Z, this is with all due respect, I'm saying this. Gen Z doesn't care about job titles. They care about truth, authenticity. They care about conviction. A story told with trembling honesty will outpower 10 perfect presentations any day of the week. Why? Well, it's told with honesty. It's told with truth. And truth is truth. People know truth when they hear it. It resonates with them. Rather than something that has been rehearsed, contrived. People sense that. So ask yourself, do you have a belief that you would risk being misunderstood for? Do you speak from experience, not opinion? And this is the most curious of all of them I've found. Even when you mess up, do people still trust you? Not your friends, not your close friends, we know they will. But I'm talking about people that are acquaintances, colleagues, team members. Even when you mess up, do they still trust you? Are they still there to go along on the ride with you? Now, if those three things ring true, then you lead with conviction storytelling. Now, if they don't, then I'd encourage you to go to this video here because I go in depth on this topic and I think you might get something out of it. If this is sounding interesting to you so far, or if this is helpful at all, please consider tapping that subscribe button down below. That really helps out. The fifth one, and this is depicted here by this odd little face with, well, these squiggly lines that makes him look like he's going insane. This one I call charisma under fire. Look, you can ace all of these 4 zones that I've just mentioned. Unless you have this 5th zone in place, when you're tested, all of these 4 zones will crumble. Because the truth is that you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. You'll know when you've built real authority the day that you're tested. So ask yourself, perhaps you stay composed in rooms where others have just lost control. When the stakes get higher, you get clearer. Or in times of crisis, people just instinctively turn to you. If that sounds like you, then you lead with charisma under fire. If that doesn't, then I'd encourage you to check this video out here where I've identified a whole array of hobbies that help you develop that skill for yourself. These are the 5 zones of authoritative charisma. Once you figure out your strength and your weakness, then you can work from there. You don't have to ace all these in one go. That would be unrealistic and quite frankly ridiculous. But it's good to know that, look, if you don't gel with one area or if that one is not working for you, perhaps you've tried one of these for a while and it just doesn't seem to work, then you can just shift and shuffle into something else, build that area up. Perhaps you want to start with, perhaps you are very much an artistic person and you're an engineer, you're a thinker at work, and you have all these great ideas, I would encourage you to maybe look at something like the fourth zone here, which is conviction storytelling. Once you've built that area up, then it gives you enough confidence to move into another zone and build that one up. And before you know it, you've got a very well balanced zone chart here that you can feel very confident heading into any situation or scenario with all aces up your sleeves. So you can train all of these. And one of these you chose, I would dare to say you chose a long time ago, just without knowing. And if you've identified that today, then congratulations, I'm actually really happy for you. But now, today, you get to choose the others. And look, the truth is, charisma today, it's not, yes, it's a nice to have skill, but I think it's become more than that. It's almost a survival skill. In today's world, your charisma becomes your passport into rooms that you weren't invited into. It becomes your passport into trust that you didn't buy, and it becomes your passport into power that you never begged for. And I've left the best till last. I'm very excited to announce the release of my first book. This here is something I've been working on for 7, 8 months. This book means a lot to me because it's a framework that I've set up from a culmination of everything that I've learned in my acting career and my legal career. All the skills that I've gained along the way, all the key little nuances I put into this book to help you and others like you out there develop and improve and enhance and strengthen your personal power in your personal life and your professional life. So the title is Civility OS, an operating system to redefine your personal and professional power. I go into 8 key skills that I think everyone needs to learn today to improve their personal power. Those 8 skills, namely, are empathy, emotional regulation, charisma, negotiation, persuasion, assertiveness, articulation, and foresight. I go into each of those skills in detail in this book, and if this video was of interest to you at all, I think you would find this interesting, so do check it out. The link to this book is in the description below. You can find it on Amazon. There's a link in the description below also for the newsletter that I send out weekly. And if you've made it this far to the end of the video, then you are a true champion. Thank you for staying with me. Please let me know in the comments below which of those zones is your strongest or which is your weakest, because that really gives me an idea of what I can do future videos on to help you out. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for staying with me. My name is Ryan. I will see you in the next one.